Hi there, Evan here with Crypto and Markets for Thursday, April 12th, 2018. Article came out on Zero Hedge last night. Definitely worth discussing here. I did put this on my Twitter, by the way. You can follow me there at Crypto Markets, the number 2. Not Crypto and Markets, just Crypto Markets, the number 2. I'll leave the handle down below. You can follow me there for everything essentially in real time. Here's the article at a Zero Hedge. RBC warns cracks starting to show in Canadian credit. Of course, I did a previous video where I covered retail sales and how retail sales are going to be a leading indicator to a downturn in growth. That started to happen. I also mentioned as well the credit card charge-offs, as people can no longer use the equity in their homes to pull those massive home equity loans, home equity lines of credit. Steve Suretsky's actually been all over as well, by the way. That it was going to start to show in other areas as well. I mentioned credit cards, and again, as this article points out, it's starting to show up now in the credit cards. This is one paragraph of it that does explain it. The problem is spreading geographically. I'm also mentioned as well too, by the way, and this is actually an important point he mentions in this article also. I've talked about the consumer loan problems they've had down in the US as well. By spreading geographically, he means spreading from the US to Canada and beyond. And today we are presented with yet another solution turned into problem, as Bloomberg reports. RBC now sees cracks in consumer credit becoming a problem yet again, this time in Canada. The combination of low interest rates and the cheap and easy access to capital has yet again gone from being a solution to a problem, as Canadian lenders are seeing delinquency rates roll out in time and duration. More on that in a second here. One of the banks that RBC mentions is having credit card problems. Not a bank you want to hear from, I'll just say that. The roll rate, the percentage of credit card users who roll from early stage delinquencies, 30 days, to 60 to 89-day delinquencies, reached the highest level since 2008 for one credit card program, while delinquencies for another program were above the 10-year average. Salat, that's Vivek Salat, the RBC analyst who did the report, said in a monthly analysis of credit securitization problems. As RBC adds, the roll rates in National Bank of Canada's Canadian Credit Card Trust Program are at the highest since 2008. That was the previous company. While for CIBC's Cards 2 program, early stage delinquencies, 60 to 89-day delinquencies and roll rates are all above the 10-year average. Guys, that's CIBC, one of the big 5 Canadian lenders. Okay, BMO and CIBC, candidly, are not up there with the RBC TD Scotia. I realize that. But when it starts hitting the big 5, definitely a big deal. I mean, if you really go ahead and read over this, it's what I've been mentioning on the channel here for the past about 6 to 9 months. I did state the consumer was going to be a problem. Ultimately, as it also mentioned this as well too. It doesn't quite go into this in this article here, by the way, but I will here. I talked about because of the decline in the detached market in the big 2 housing markets, people obviously couldn't pull that equity down to go spend in the real economy, and it was going to start having an effect. As we all know, how are more than half of all retail transactions done now? Via credit card. That's why this is so big here. If people can't afford the credit card payments, and remember, this is one big point as well too. When we're talking about delinquencies, we're only talking about minimum payments here. And, I mean, what's the average minimum payment on a credit card? 1 to 2% of your balance? So that's one key point here that should be mentioned as well. When we look at roll rates, We're worried to people not covering their minimum payments, which is only 1 to 2% of the payment anyhow. So really, we're talking about payments here that are the sort of at the bottom end of the total pole if you do mortgages, home equity lines, lines of credit, car loans, etc. This is at the bottom end of the pole here. So already we can see that problem with all that buildup of credit and those delinquencies is starting to come at the bottom end. Because what usually happens in a credit cycle, it starts with the big loans and it works its way down. On delinquencies, though, it works as the opposite. It starts at the bottom and then goes up. That's what we're starting to see now. And also he goes over a couple of charts here for the US as well. By the way, I will link this article down below. I will link my Twitter handle down below as well too. I did post this on Twitter last night, so you can view it there as well. I just wanted to conclude by saying this. Look, what's mentioned, now again, the RBC analyst here, I think, did great work. But the problems here on this channel, I've been on this for months. I mean, ultimately, when you read this article, this shouldn't shock anybody here at all, to be honest. We all knew this was going to happen. We all knew retail sales were going to start taking a downturn. We all knew the economy was going to start taking a downturn. Like, everything is coming to fruition now. I mean, everyone mentions, the jobs market is still strong. Guys, the jobs market is a lagging indicator. The jobs market won't tell you we're in a recession until halfway through it. Really, look at history. It's historically actually a very bad indicator. I implore you, just Google this. The jobs market, as far as being an economic indicator, actually is a very bad indicator, which is the reason why I don't mention it too much. It's right here. It's this. It's the consumer. It's services. That's what drives a developed economy. Okay? Even manufacturing. Manufacturing is only about 10 to 15% of economic output in most developed economies. It's all consumer and it's all services. That's why this credit binge, that's why these credit card charge-offs are so important. That's why also in the US as well, all the problems they're now having with their car loans is a big problem as well too. Again, big chunk of the consumer. And one last point here. Actually, you know what? One last point. Bloomberg, if you want to tell you how the mainstream media always wants to be bullish now, this Bloomberg point, I'm going to go ahead and mention this. And this is a quick little quote here. To be sure, Salat pointed out, Salat was Vivek Salat, the RBC analyst who did the report, by the way, pointed out that consumer credit quality seems benign with charge-offs or recognized losses remaining near cyclical lows. The average payment rate in February fell about 600 basis points from January to 41.1%, but was up 162 basis points in the same month a year ago. I'm almost going to hallucinate here. From 47.1% down to 41.1%, and they're telling me it's not a big deal. That means 13% less of a credit card balance got paid from month to month. And you're telling me that's not a big deal, considering how the growth has already gone this way. They're delusional. That's why the ratings are so low. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. Anyhow, I'll go ahead and leave it there. Hit the like button. Leave a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe. And be sure to follow me on Twitter. Y'all take care, everybody. Have a good day.